Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you guys had a lovely long weekend, an extra long one too. So hopefully you guys got to chill, catch up on some sleep, hang out, I guess, spend some time with your family. So welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about moral development. This is our last day of content in this unit. Typically, I'd like to go more in depth with things like gender and sexuality, do some nature and nurture conversations, but because we're not in class, it's harder to have class discussions on that. But we'll round out our developmental unit talking about moral development. So when we talk about moral development, we're talking about how the way we make decisions and think about the moral implications of them change. So great example of this here is our friend Chidi Adagonye from The Good Place, if anyone watches that show. He's a moral philosopher, so he thinks about things in terms of morality more than most people, and he actually just can't make decisions. He's the most indecisive person ever because he thinks of all the different moral implications that all his decisions have. So he's paralyzed by decision making and can't actually make a decision because there's too many moral outcomes here. So we're going to talk about how our moral decision making kind of changes and develops as we age, and how the way we think about things and make those decisions changes through different stages. So I asked you guys this question, this very intense question, in our intro questions, and this is called the Heinz dilemma. This is one of the most prominent moral dilemmas in the field of ethics. So if you ever go to college and take an ethics course, you talk about this one for sure. So here we go. In Europe, a woman was near death from cancer. One drug might save her, a form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The druggist was charging $2,000, 10 times what the drug cost to make. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow money, but he just couldn't get together. But he could get together only about half of what it cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or let him pay later, but the druggist said no. The husband got desperate and ended up breaking into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. Should the husband have done this or not? What would you have done if you were in his shoes? So why or why not? What's your reasoning? So what we're going to talk about today is not so much how our answer, how each stage of moral development would view our answer differently. So we're going to talk about our friend Kohlberg, who has 3 different stages of moral development. And he's saying it's not so much that your answer changes in each stage, but the reason for your answer changes. So in all 3 stages, you might say you're going to steal the drug, or you might say you won't steal the drug. But your reason for why you did or didn't is what changes. So how you think about these moral situations are changing and developing as we age. So like I said, Kohlberg, he comes up with 3 stages of moral development that we're going to talk about. There's actually more kind of mini stages within there, but for the premise of AP Psych, you only need to know those 3. If you take ethics down the road, maybe in TOK, you guys can learn more. So are you ready? Let's get ethical. Okay, I'm done. All right. So Kohlberg's stages of moral development. So again, big thing here, it's not what you decide to do, but rather why you decide to do it that changes. That's the big thing. So you could be saying you're going to steal in all of them. That doesn't matter. It's the why behind your reasoning that is what's changing. So we have pre-conventional, which is 3 to 7 years old, conventional, 8 to 13, and post-conventional, which is adulthood. We're actually going to see, he says that some people don't even fully get through to the highest form of post-conventional, actually. So up here, how I'm going to go through these is kind of talk about how you're thinking about the question. So how are you thinking about moral situations and making your decision? What are the factors that are causing you to decide yes or no? And then how you'd view this little Heinz dilemma based on the stage you're in, how you'd answer. So the why based on the stage you're in. So up first, stage 1 is pre-conventional morality. So this is prior to 9 years of age. So this is like as a little kid. So here, your decision making is really just guided by your own self interest. You're very selfish, very, what's in it for me type thing. And it's all about avoiding punishment or gaining rewards. So you would follow the rules because you don't want to be punished. It's all about you. You don't want to deal with the punishment. Or maybe you'd look really, you get to put a marble in the jar in an elementary school or something, or you get to get some kind of reward or something for it if you make a good moral decision. So it's all about avoiding punishment or gaining rewards, very self interest. You're not thinking really about others. You're just doing it because you don't want to deal with the negative consequences of having the wrong decision. Um, so someone here in this stage, a child might say, no, like I wouldn't steal the drugs because then I'd get punished. I'd get in trouble. I'd have to go to jail. So it's all about punishment or rewards here. It's very simplistic and basic. And here again, this is kind of these rewards and the rules are all coming from like your parents too. All right, so stage 2 is conventional morality. So this is like your early adolescence. So a little bit beyond childhood. So here, you're following the laws and rules of society in order to gain social approval and maintain the social order. So it's all about how you look to other people, which I think is what makes sense too if you're thinking this is early adolescence. You really care about your self image. So you're going to follow the rules and gain in order to gain approval, in order to look good, in order to not stick out, right? Hammer that nail that sticks out gets hammered down. So it's all about how you're presenting yourself to others. So maybe you don't want to steal the drugs because then you'd get judged as a criminal. Or maybe you do want to steal the drugs because you'd look really good, you'd look like a hero, and that's like really good self image, and that would, boost your ego. So again, this stage, think adolescence, it's all about following the rules and making our moral decisions, um, kind of just to boost our self image and to be thought of positively by others. So it's all based on what others are thinking of us. And then stage 3, this is post conventional morality. So this is the highest stage that you can get to. So this is adolescence and beyond. And then going back here again, this is these rules and laws and things are they're laid out by adults. They're laid out by your parents, by society, by police, town, whatever. You're not making your own rules here. So stage 3, this is kind of the highest level. So this is now, prior to this, everything was made, all the rules, the moral rules were made by other people, right? It was your parents telling you what to do, it's the school telling you what to do, it's, the society, the rules and laws that tell you what to do, what's right and wrong. But post conventional morality, you're making your own moral decisions based on your own self defined moral code. So no one's telling you what's right and wrong here. Obviously, there's rules, there's laws, but you're the one who's making the ultimate decision of what you believe. You have your own moral compass and are deciding what's right or what's wrong for you. So you're not basing your decisions based on what other people think. You're basing it what your own moral internal compass is telling you. So you have your own internalized set of values and views of justice rather than the ones that people and authorities around you are forming you. So stage 3 is when you're the one that's making calling the shots and making your own rules. So here, you might steal the drugs because you believe in this essential idea that life outweighs property rights or laws. So you think you have this internal value that that life is more important than something like you know someone's property or breaking a law or something like that. So that's your own internalized moral code. And like here, only 10 to 15% of people, they think, are capable of this kind of abstract thinking that's necessary for this stage. So if you go back to actually Piaget's stage and we talk about the formal operational, one of the features of that is you have the abstract thinking that happens. You're thinking in the future, you're thinking really deeply, making predictions, hypotheses. And this is when Piaget says that you kind of develop your morals. But you're seeing here that they don't think a lot of people don't actually have the really critical abstract thinking that it takes. So they're actually saying that most people really their morals are determined by the people around them, whether it's your parents or the authority figures in society that are making those rules and laws. So pretty interesting. So, and actually, post-conventional is a very important one to know because this is shown up on the AP exam multiple times. So go back, take a look at this, and think about this Heinz dilemma. So go through and kind of think about how you put it, and really take any ethical dilemma and put it through these three stages. And you can kind of switch up how would someone in the pre-conventional morality base their decision? How would someone in conventional explain their decision? How would someone in post-conventional explain their decision? Remember, it's the why that's changing, not the actual decision so much. So Carol Gilligan now is going to criticize our friend over here, Kohlberg, because she thinks that it's men and women actually make their moral judgments differently. So she thinks that it's really too impossible to put them in the same category for moral development because they think differently. So Gilligan was really big in the feminist movement, kind of around the 60s or so. So what she does is she creates kind of her own separate one that she believes would be a moral development path for women. So she criticizes him for being only applicable to men, and she's kind of saying that boys make decisions more in an absolute way. It's very clear cut, like it's either a yes or no, this decision or this decision. And she's saying girls, it's much more situational. And it's really, there's not going to be a right or wrong answer, but what can we do? Like, what's the best decision with what we have? And girls' morality, she says, revolves much more around relationships, which is kind of what we talked about. Remember, we had that tend and befriend hypothesis, where it's all about, women deal with stress by forming relationships and that kind of a thing. So that kind of makes sense with what we're seeing. So here's what she has to say. So this is what the corresponding stage of Kohlberg, and then these are hers. So we'd have for what would be the pre-conventional stage, she says that for women, it's more individually oriented. So how you think about moral decision making is much more very selfish. So that's similar to what we see with Kohlberg, right? So she's saying it's very much about individual survival and benefiting you. So you're looking out for yourself. And then she says there occurs this transition from selfishness now to a responsibility for others. So this is her really unique one. And think about the time period if you took US history. This is right when the feminist movement is going on. So women are angry that, there's so much expectations. We have, women have to, the second shift, they're having to go out and work and then come back and raise the family. And they have to be all these things. And a good woman is someone who sacrifices themselves to please their family and that kind of a thing. So think about the historical context of this. So she says that women go from then being selfish to then from being selfish to then being what's this called this responsibility to others or self-sacrifice as goodness. So she says that then in this stage, women are really expected to be that, nurturing figure and put their needs aside in order to help others. So women are expected to kind of not think about themselves first because that's selfish. They're supposed to be thinking about all the other people in their life because they're a mother, they're a wife, they're a daughter. They're supposed to be helping others and making decisions based on what's good for others and what would help and benefit other people in their life. But it's selfish for them to think about how the decision would benefit them. So this is very much kind of the feminist movement, right? Because women are very much into, at the time, kind of upset that they have all these pressure and expectations to be the nurturing mother figure. So now she says that for the final stage, so what would be his post-conventional, so you transition from this self-sacrifice and giving to others and making decisions based on what others want. You transition from that to now a mix of thinking about yourself and others. So you have the principle of nonviolence. So this kind of overall idea that don't hurt others or self. But what happens here is the truth that she is a person too. So here's what she says now, and this goes along a lot with what feminists were talking about at the time, is that, like, hey, why is this girl making all these decisions and making it only in the context of how it will benefit all these other people? She's a person too. Why can't she think about herself in this decision? So the big thing that they used as the example here would be a case of a woman, a Catholic woman who's poor and she's married. I think they said that she has some kind of spinal issue, like scoliosis or something. And if she were to have this baby, that she would damage her spine and wouldn't be able to work and provide for her family anymore, and all this sorts of stuff. So then the woman has to debate whether or not to get an abortion. So she's saying in this example that a woman in the conventional stage would think, oh, well, what am I going to do in relation, because it's all about relationships, in relation to my spirituality, my religion, my Catholicism? What would I do in relation to my husband? What would I do in relation to my mom, who's going to think this? What am I going to do to my daughter, my kids, blah, blah. So they're saying that she's making this decision based on all these other people and how it would impact those. But then in post-conventional, Gilligan says that she needs to make the decision based on what she thinks. So she can take into account what others think, but also has to now take into account what she's thinking. So that's kind of the example that Gilligan gives of this, is how it's important to not only be selfless and think of others, but you also need to think of yourself. So it's important to kind of put in both. So that's her example from ethics, and back to my college ethics days. So again, like I said, just know those different stages. And easy way to remember those, you can think pre-conventional, right? Pre is always before, conventional, and then post after. So good knowing what things mean in English, right? Good, good. So what you guys can do is finish those ethical dilemmas. That'll be fun. And then for homework, you can complete your FRQ workshop. So just treat it like you do for any other FRQ workshop. Just take your time, write it out, and then you can turn it into turnitin.com by 11:59. I have directions on Classroom about how to join on to turnitin.com and do all that. And then we're going to do the FRQ workshop for class on Friday, so there won't be a video lecture or anything. Our class is just going to be you guys reading each other's. I have a little video about kind of the rubric and stuff, and then you'll grade one another and give feedback. And this one's all research methods based, so it'll be very helpful because one of the two FRQs is about research methods on the AP. So that will be tomorrow, and then now we're done with content, so you guys can just start reviewing and finishing up your work from this unit. So keep working in the developmental scrapbook. That's due Friday, 11:59 p.m., like everything. Mods 49 through 53 tonight with vocab, and then review for your FRQ Friday. All right, have a nice day, you guys.